Hello and a very warm welcome to you. This is the Courthouse, our law class 101. And indeed, we're in very interesting legal times that are setting precedents that will see the consequences of unfolding with time. I'm Olomu-Agbodo, who will join you after this quick break. Stay with us.
It's been 10 years. Yes, Law Class is 10. Thank you, our esteemed viewers, for making us your preferred station. Thank you for staying with us through the years. You are a part of our success stories. It's our festival of vibes.
You're welcome back. This is the Courthouse, and this week we are taking a look at indefinite detentions where people are waiting trial for so long. But we see that calls for release of inmates that have been waiting for trial for over 6 years, calls for those release have been answered because the president recently directed that some inmates who have been awaiting trial for a prolonged period of time should be released. And according to reports, about 42% of 74,000 inmates were awaiting trial in Nigeria. And that brings us to a recent discussion we had with Adedoyin Enisan, a legal practitioner who spoke about why people are in detention indefinitely. Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, my name is Sophia. Most people who become infected with the coronavirus experience mild illness and recover, but it can be more severe for others. Take care of your health and protect others by doing the following. Wash your hands frequently and thoroughly. Clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand rub or sanitizer. Practice respiratory and full body hygiene daily. Stay informed, pray, and stay plugged to the Word of God. Above all, remember, if that same Spirit that raised Jesus Christ from the dead dwells in you, He shall vitalize your mortal body because of that same Spirit that lives in you. And they that dwell in Zion shall not say, I am sick. Behold, beloved, we are more than conquerors. Be safe, be healthy. God bless you.
So, like I said, a lot of times we hear about people in detention. They're just usually in the police station, the police cells for a long time. They are not taken to the courts. They are just there, no bail, no trial, and sometimes some of them stay for a very, very long period of time. What is your attitude towards that issue in the first place?
Okay, so thank you very much. You know, this very subject, I can tell you that, let's say 5 out of 10 inmates, 5 out of 10, if not more than that ratio, are affected by this. You know, you find situations whereby, like you said, police randomly just go to public places and pick up people, and the next thing, they go to the station, and they can be in the station for some days, you know, based on if they couldn't secure the administrative bail. And, you know, most of these people, they are petty traders or people that don't have access to lawyers and all that. So you have that. There are places where police will just keep them at their station, and after a prolonged time, maybe negotiation breakdown, then they will take them to court. The first thing when people are taken to court, you have to have prepared their bail application on ground. So instances where such category of people don't have lawyers standby to do that for them, once they get to court, they mention the case, and they are straight up from court, they are taken to prison.
Wow.
So that is how you just find them there awaiting trial.
So is there any provision of should I say, the rules of courts or the criminal Administration of Criminal Justice Act and things like that that would actually help this category of people?
Okay, so we have, first of all, the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, like you said, in Section 35, has clearly guaranteed the liberty of every Nigerian. That's one. That's one source to rely on. Then secondly, such Nigerian, right, is also entitled to a lawyer. Where that Nigerian does not have a lawyer, that person can defend himself. Okay. The Constitution allows the person to defend himself. So instances where you have people locked up in correctional centers, as they call them now, it is not right, because the Constitution allows such individual to defend him or herself. So once you have matters, maybe they have a date assigned for their court, for their matter to come up. Once they come to court, don't put them back there to say, oh, you don't have lawyer, you don't have, nobody has showed up. Take them to court. Instances like that, the judge, by reason of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, there's a provision there whereby it empowers the judge to get a lawyer for such defendants. Then there is Legal Aid Council of Nigeria that is statutorily empowered to provide free legal services. In other words, called pro bono. So there are provisions like that. But instances where such people don't come to court in the first place by reason of the fact that at the correctional center, they are just get back to say nobody has showed up, you don't have a lawyer. It is absolutely wrong. I've been in court whereby the judge engaged the defendant and said, are you ready to defend? The man said, yes, I will defend myself. So our law enforcement agents should be able to loosen it up and not be uptight in keeping people in detention.
Okay, so it's quite interesting. It's good for people to know that they can actually defend themselves.
Very important.
That's one very primary fact that you should know. You can defend yourself in court.
Yes.
But another issue is this. Now they know they can defend themselves, but yes, they are not even taken to the courts, like you mentioned.
Yes.
So who should be the ones to take them to court? Because first of all, the police arrests them and keeps them in a cell. Probably take them just to mention the case and take them back to the police, or they don't take them back to the police station.
Yes.
They push them to the correctional services.
Yes.
So at that point, who is responsible for taking them to court, because they can't break out of the correctional service?
Okay, so instances where that happens, so you have dates. So the first day of every defendant in court, they will mention the case. The plea will be taken, and the matter will be adjourned. So such a defendant will be taken to correctional center. Now, there will be a date. The court of a necessity will assign that the matter will come up for trial. Now, that next date, the correctional officials has the duty to bring the defendant to court premises. Now they have where they have a small kind of cell arrangement within courts whereby they keep them, they hold them there. Now, some of them will be taken to court premises, but they will be kept in that room. So what happened is that the family members should be able to come to court and ensure that they make a case for their relation that is kept, whether at the holding bay within the court premises or at the correctional center. So that is where there is no legal representation. But where there is legal representation, of course, the lawyer to the defendant has a duty to ensure that the client comes to court. But that is one case. We have cases where even the defendant has a lawyer and everything is said. You have instances whereby everything will still be tied down because of technicality and procedure.
Explain the technicality for us.
Now, so I have a case that I handled some time ago whereby on the day of the arraignment, the defendant came to court and all that. So the procedure was that the court, that very particular court, said that the application for bail must be in writing. You must not come orally. There are some courts that allow oral application.
Those are the lower courts, like the magistrate courts, or which other?
Even federal high courts.
Federal
Yeah,
courts.
there are cases whereby you can rely on to say by reason of this judicial case, whereby the president has been said there that a lawyer can orally apply for bail. You can use the authority to present to court that you want to apply orally for the bail of your client. Okay. But there are some judges that are indifferent to this. They want to strictly go by written format, whereby the prosecution will be able to respond to whether this defendant should be granted bail or not. So instances like that happen whereby once that day fails, you have to, that client will go back to correctional center because you were not able to secure that bail that day. Then you have instances whereby court will not sit, you understand? And it goes on like that. So apart from the fact that people don't have access to lawyers to represent them, you have instances whereby people the issue of technicalities around courts also tie people down to be to stay longer than they are supposed to be.
Quite interesting. It's quite important for us to note these things because a lot of times we have people that are innocent, first of all. That's another issue entirely. But the fact that they are innocent or not cannot even come to the fore if they are not brought to the court in the first place. So this is a call for reform. This is a call for action. Indeed, as you heard, several reasons could account for why people are indefinitely detained, why they are awaiting trial for so long. Sometimes they may be in police cells without being charged before the courts. And sometimes the courts may not even sit to hear those matters if they are brought before them. But we have the reports on this issue. We'd like you to take a listen. Indefinite detention is the incarceration of an arrested person by a national government or law enforcement agency without a trial. The practice violates many national and international laws, including human rights laws. In the United Kingdom, in 2004, the House of Lords ruled that indefinite detention of foreign terrorism suspects under Section 23 of the Anti-Terrorism Crime and Security Act of 2001 violated the Human Rights Act and the European Convention on Human Rights. In the United States, indefinite detention has been used to hold terror suspects during the War on Terror. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, Section 412 of the Patriot Act permits indefinite detention of immigrants. In Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari in April asked the chief judge to free prison inmates who have been awaiting trial for over 6 years to ease overcrowding over the COVID-19 pandemic. The president's directive was based on the recent call by the United Nations on all countries to consciously reduce the population of prison inmates. While this is a good development, the future focus should be on expeditious adjudication of criminal cases. Welcome back. The Federal Attorney General of Nigeria, Abubakar Malami, also recently directed police commands to release suspects in detention for simple misdemeanors. And they basically said these people don't need to remain in detention for so long if they are not being charged. And with the look of things around in terms of COVID-19 containment, the Federal Attorney General had to direct that these people, these suspects in detention, be released. Well, we're going to take a listen to the concluding part of that discussion with Adedoyin Enisan. You're welcome back if you just joined us. This is the courthouse, and we've been talking about issues of inmates, citizens of this beloved country waiting for trial indefinitely. They are in detention. They are not free. And this is basically a violation of the fundamental rights of these citizens. And we have Adedoyin Enisan, a legal practitioner, who's been telling us and even giving us some experiences that he has had in such instances. And he said, yes, you can defend yourself in court. And he's also talking about the issue of the prison officials, the correctional services officers who have the duty to bring these inmates to court. And we have this very, very important question that just came in from one of our viewers. It came in a while ago, and it's a question that occurs every time. One of these issues of people staying in detention for a long time, they said it boils down to the judiciary. Like you mentioned, sometimes the courts would not sit. And we've had instances of people that are in the prison, in the correctional facilities. They are now called correctional facilities, correctional services, no longer prison, because they're trying to reform the system. And why will the court not sit when they're supposed to hear the applications of these inmates? And we're complaining of prison congestion all the time. We're complaining that we have lots of caseloads to attend to, yet the court does not sit. What should be done? How can we make the court sit?
Okay, so I think the general thing about what runs through the system as a country. So you have instances whereby you get to court, say court is sick. In other words, the judge is sick. So you have instances whereby you get to court, you will be told that the judge will receive an invitation to represent a certain, maybe a government official or government agency in a particular forum. So many instances, and you have instances whereby you come to court, the court would have, within chambers, say, okay, are these one contentious, are these one not contentious? They would just say, okay, for today, these matters will not be taken care of. So there are instances whereby, depending on the very court, there are some judges that no matter how it is, even if they have many lists of cases on their court list, they will ensure that they attend to them. So this has to go with the judiciary. You know, the NJC needs to monitor. You know, these judges have reports they give quarterly, as I'm aware, whereby they have to show that, okay, this is the number of judgments they've written in a certain quarter. This is the number of rulings they've had. So they need to be monitored to ensure that you don't just have instances whereby for several adjourned days, whereby it's at the instance of the court. I have a matter in Shagam that we've traveled from Lagos to Shagam on 2 different occasions. You will even call the registrar ahead that hope the court will sit. You'll be confirmed that, yeah, court will sit. You will get there, it will just tell you one excuse. So it's always like that, whereby priority should be given to litigants that have matters in court. You know, just to also make a point on the issue of why people stay longer. I also have an instance of a certain client. I took over that case because he's been in detention for a while. And so there are issues whereby you have bail conditions that are stringent. You know, bail conditions can be stringent. It will also be part of the reasons, one of the reasons why a defendant will stay longer in correctional center. Okay. So we had to, when I came in, I had to apply to court rather, for court to vary those conditions. Now, after the court varied the conditions, making it a simpler one, we now have issue whereby the defendant could not meet the basic requirements or conditions of the conditions. So
what's in that situation?
I'm telling you that defendant has been in detention, though the matter is going on, the trial is going on while he's there. But ordinarily, he's supposed to be out of correctional center while the matter is going on. Yes. So he has been there now, I can tell you, for like 3-4 years.
Wow. So in that situation now, you said the bail condition, maybe stringent bail conditions can actually lead to people staying in detention for a long time. Yes. Now, you said you applied for the court to vary the bail conditions to make it as basic as possible. Yes. And the clients couldn't also meet up.
Yes.
In that situation, for that client, what can be done?
Well, the issue is that at that point, it's left for the client, the defendant, and the family members to make sure that they get necessary sureties that will make available. The general one is always tax clearance payment of 3 years or so, must be resident in Lagos or whichever state it is. So the basic ones, you find out that even the family member or the relation or the defender will not still be able to meet it. So at that point, it's a situation whereby it's not left for the defendants. So,
what about the legal aid? Can the legal aid not wade in and help out in such a situation?
Okay, now, what legal aid does is representation. Legal aid, the fact that legal aid has come up on the matter, will not make conditions to be attached to bail that is given. So, legal aid, as it were, as an institution, may now help to say, okay, if there is monetary involvement, okay, we will, out of our own, being an institution of government, help you to pay. But to say that the conditions will not be there, that is not the situation. Okay. So instances happen whereby there are so many reasons. There are so many reasons why people will just stay in detention, awaiting trial. So some of them, they get so-called whereby through some governors, where under prerogative of mercy act and law, they grant them, prerogative pardons, whereby some of them will check their record. And so some of them, that's how they get out of the correctional centers after staying there for years. Okay. So it's neither there nor there, but the government and the institution must do as much as possible to ensure that on their own part, they do what they are supposed to do. So what is left for the defendant to do should not be done. Not that government or institution or the judiciary is not doing what it ought to do.
But when we have them not sitting all the time, giving one excuse for not sitting or the other, either the court is on vacation, the court is in recess, the court is sick, the court is in traffic, the court is in one occasion or the other. These cases pile up. And give us probably a recommendation or two in that regard. You've talked about the fact that NJC should do a lot of monitoring, as in do more monitoring. Do you think that the NJC is doing enough to monitor these courts? Because especially the magistrates' courts, the lower courts of record, I'm very much aware that a lot of times they do not sit. I had an experience where my neighbor was just rounded up with some teens around the area that because a police officer got killed and they just randomly picked up some people, and he was unfortunate enough to be in the same vicinity where the crime was committed, so he was picked up as well. So he was in detention for over a year. So in such a situation, where the police just goes and rounds up people, what do we do as a society? What can be done? Or, well, is the NBA even doing anything about it?
Well, let me start from the fact that the individual can, if you have stayed longer than you are supposed to stay in the custody of the police, you can file for a fundamental human rights action. You can sue the Nigerian police, and instances happen whereby people successfully sue them and get damages against them that you have violated my rights. You are not supposed to keep me longer than I'm supposed to be in your custody. So there is keeping people in police custody longer than it's supposed to be. Then there is one of after you have been arraigned. So now, as to the effect of police coming to random, so that one, the Police Service Commission or people that are involved in appointment or discipline of police ought to, monitor these people, whereby you don't just come, they ought to be trained. There is issue of lack of training of Nigerian. You see some of them, stray bullets, just shooting irregularly. So, but to bring it to the judiciary, the NJC is doing what it can do. Individual can write petition. So if you're a litigant in a matter, whether by yourself or through your lawyer, you can write petition and tell the authority, the NJC, that you've had instances whereby your case has come up for several occasions, yet the court did not sit. So let the court respond to that. So you've had instances whereby some judges have been disciplined by reason of petition by litigants. So we should have more activity like that. That will keep the judges, to their toes and make sure that some of them that are a bit not too active will be dealt with.
Okay, that's quite interesting, and I think I like that recommendation. Let's keep them on their toes. Let's actually keep the judiciary on their toes. If they are not sitting, the court is not sitting, you can write through your lawyer. Your lawyer can petition through the NJC, that's the National Judicial Council. And also, if the police randomly picks people in a particular area, or that they pick someone that you know about, you can, through your lawyer, file for a fundamental rights action. And of course, the court will give you a remedy. Thank you so much. It's been quite interesting.
Thank you.
We're not leaving yet.
Okay.
It's the bar book segment. Well, this certainly is a step in the right direction, and legal practitioners have been calling for decongestion of prison cells, and all over the world that has been one challenge that the administration of criminal justice has been facing. So with the release of inmates, with the grant of pardon and clemency by presidents and state governors, we are thanking God that we have a lot of free spaces in our correctional facilities now, and we are saying don't go back to prison if you have just been released. Well, we'd like to hear from you. This is the courthouse. We'd like you to use our hashtag the courthouse, hashtag Loverplus, and we'd also like you to visit our website on www.loverplus.org, and you can also download our app. I'm Olomu-Agbodo. Remember, don't just get mad, go get a lawyer. Bye for now.